as you scale your company, you spend less personal time with people. Your mistakes get amplified and the time to make up for the mistakes goes down. And so as the company's gotten bigger, I've had to adjust my leadership style and get stronger and better as a leader. I still have a long, long way to go to be a good leader, but I would say I have changed a lot and it's been a big learning experience.
The Business of Betting podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. 4 out of the top 5 U.S. operators personalize player experiences with Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/businessofbetting. And if you like what you see, you will get your first month free.
What is up, everybody? I'm Jason Trost, the host of the Business of Betting podcast. Today is another Office Hours episode. I'm very excited to be here. It's sunny in London. I heard the newscaster on BBC the other day say that March was the sunniest March on record. Pretty exciting about that because, as you guys know, London has the best weather in the world about 14 days a year, and the rest of the year it's pretty grim and gray and damp and everything. But the London weather's been quite nice, and it's nice after a long, gloomy winter to see the sun. Took my kids to the zoo last weekend, had a blast. My son was more interested in riding around on the scooter. That was more exciting than the animals. And then my 2-year-old was pointing out all the different animals and saying birdie and bear and tiger. There's no bears at the London Zoo, but it was great to be out with my kids. What else is going on? Lots to report in the news. I mean, the Trump administration is doing their best to destroy old alliances and to build a new world order as quickly as possible. It's a bit frustrating to watch the way they've torn down lots of alliances and the speed and the carelessness by which they're going about it, and also throwing a lot of the norms of democracy out the window. So it's been a little bit frustrating. I'm curious to see what comes out on the other end, but I'm pretty pessimistic about what they're going to be able to accomplish. The Wisconsin judge, the Democrat won the Wisconsin judge, and I think the Republicans are going to get crushed in the midterms, most likely. So Trump has about 12 more months to kind of try whatever grand project he wants to try. And then I think he's going to be hamstrung by at least a Democratic Congress, if not a Democratic House of Representatives, potentially a Democratic Senate, but most likely a Republican Senate and a Democratic House. So we'll see. If we can hold on for the next 12 months, then we might be in okay shape. Lots going on in the sports betting world with Kalshi pushing through with sports, Robinhood doing it, Robinhood turning on, Robinhood turning off New Jersey. It's super interesting to watch what's going on with the CFTC. And we're actually looking at that angle ourselves in terms of getting a CFTC license. So I'll be very curious if sports is able to stay long term, but it's very exciting times that you can take a model and be in all 50 states with a legal federal framework, which is what should have happened all along. The whole time. I don't know if CFTC is the right mechanism, but I'll take it. I think it's better than nothing. And it's a federal framework that makes more sense than the state-by-state approach that has been going on right now. So to refresh this format, we got 5 questions from viewers, listeners, and very excited. I haven't read these questions before, so I'm reading these for the first time to keep the answers fresh. We'd love to do these more often, so please send in questions. Also, if you guys have any suggestions for guests, I'm always looking for interesting people to talk to with interesting opinions. So please feel free to reach out on the website for future guests or questions for me to read on the air. So let's kick off. Question number 1. This is from Mr. Nobody XXX1 on Twitter. If you went back 20 years in time with the knowledge you have today, what would you change at Smarkets? Different market model, a different approach to market making, or would you invest in another product within the industry? What kind of products? This is a crazy mind experiment. I think if I went back in time, I'd create a chat bot that sat on everybody's phone that was green and could let people send SMSs for free with pictures around the world. WhatsApp, when it was acquired, I think was like 30, 40 people and were sold for $19 billion. The thing I really admire about WhatsApp and startups like that is from day one, you can be global. There's no laws to deal with. Everybody allows chat applications to be in every app store. And it's a way that you can move really fast and you don't have any regulation that got in the way. So let's assume that I'm going to stick within the sports betting industry. And I'm not sure that I would. I might have picked other industries if I had the benefit of hindsight. But let's do the limitation that I stick within sports betting. The thing that When I started Smarkets, I only wanted to be a neutral marketplace. And if you have an exchange or a marketplace, you have this chicken and egg problem that you need shoppers and buyers and sellers to create a marketplace. And buyers need sellers need buyers. And if they're not at the right place at the right time, the marketplace has no value, and vice versa. You can have a lot of network effects, and it works out better and better the more people that use it. So like eBay and Uber are two examples of marketplaces that the more people that are on that marketplace, the better for everybody. Now, in sports betting, it's a little bit different from a traditional marketplace because sports betting is what's called a fungible asset. That means a bet for Manchester United to win the next game is the same on Smarkets as it is on Bet365, as it is on FanDuel. And so what you can do is you can synthetically provide liquidity across different sports betting marketplaces to try to get over this chicken and the egg process. I have a background in trading. That was my first job at a university. And so I said, fuck it, I can write the first algorithm to just put some prices on the screen to help solve this sort of chicken and egg problem. So very early doors, my co-founder was working on the tech platform, and I thought, I'm a trader. I have a degree in computer science. I can write my own trading algorithm. And so I basically wrote the first version of Hansen, which is our internal market maker that trades sports around the world. And initially just did it to put prices up on the screen. And then initially I did it to give a few people a little bit of liquidity. And while we were building that, I always had the intention to have quote unquote professional market makers take over because I didn't know anything about sports. I didn't know anything about sports risk. And I went to all the market makers that existed at the time, and all of them said, you're too small. It's not worth our time. You'll be low on the priority list. And I spent probably 3 to 5 years knocking on everybody's door that I thought could provide liquidity to our platform. They basically said, "Oh, no," or "Come back to us when you're bigger." So I said, "Fine." And then out of necessity, we kept working on Hansen just to make it better and better and better. Initially, the goal was to not lose money. It was to basically break even. It was just to provide liquidity to the platform. And over time, that got better and better and better. And then at some point, it flipped to making money, and that became our core business model. So going back to your original question, if I had a time machine, I think I would have started with a proprietary trading model, traded the external other venues that we could, BetDAQ, Matchbook, Betfair, probably at the time. Now there's a few more venues that you could trade. I probably would have done that to create positive cash flow and then use that cash to invest in the BDC operations. But I did things the opposite way. I started the BDC business first. We needed to raise money. And in order to get that cash business model flowing, it took a lot longer because it's harder to do the marketplace side first than the trading side. Interesting question. And outside of sports betting, there's so many things I'm interested in, whether it's health or AI or, just sort of making software make people's lives better in general. I find that fascinating. One thing that's always ticking over in my head is insurance. I find that fascinating. Foreign exchange, I find fascinating because it's something that we have to do all the time when people do cross-border transactions. Even today, foreign exchange is incredibly expensive. Insurance is incredibly expensive, whether it's health or any other kind of insurance. There's so many things that personally I'm interested in, and I would have happily been working on for the last 20 years. Thanks for the question, Mr. Nobody XXX1. Question number 2, at Neil Tolson on Twitter. On your recent pods, there's been a lot of talk about the split sports betting from casino products. How do we get the UK Gambling Commission to recognize this and adopt a fairness approach to the decision making, as the regular customer seems to be totally ignored and big corp benefits? Well, I firmly believe that sports betting has absolutely nothing to do with casino. It's kind of like putting auto mechanics next to a cotton candy factory. Casino is a completely different discipline than sports betting. For whatever reason, they're seen as adjacencies, they're smashed together, and from a regulatory perspective, all falls under one bucket. I think it's a bad idea for a lot of reasons. I think sports betting is more akin to finance, and casino is more akin to games and arcades and the entertainment side of things. So I think they belong in different regulatory frameworks. I don't see that splitting anytime soon. I've heard very, very, very few people that share that opinion, whether inside or outside of government or inside or outside of industry. Most people just, when you think of Vegas, you think of casinos and sportsbook. And for whatever reason, in the public psyche, those two industries have been glued together. So I don't see that changing very often. Indeed, a lot of sports books view sports betting as the lead generation, the reason to get people in the door, and that where they make their money is casino. So I hate that kind of view of a customer. It's kind of a very, let's call it a combative relationship. Like how much money can I take from them on the casino rather than trying to align with the customer's interests and everybody wins. Unfortunately, casino and sports betting are zero-sum games. So there's this kind of adversarial relationship between the customer and the product. So I don't like casino being involved. I'm pretty sure we're one of, if not the only, major sports book that doesn't do casino. So it's very rare, if not unique, that we don't do casino. So I think they should be split. I don't think they will be split, unfortunately. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Now, the CFTC thing that I talked to in the beginning, there's no way CFTC will have anything to do with the casino. So maybe it'll make more rational sense in the American market eventually. Thanks for the question. Question number 3, Bernard Maleza from LinkedIn. What is your view on sportsbooks limiting bettors? From an ethical and business perspective, one would think sportsbooks make more than enough to not care about winning bettors. Well, Bernard, a very good question. So I think it should be allowed, but I think it's unethical. Like, I think it should be frowned upon, but I don't think it should be blocked. The reason why I think it should be allowed is because businesses should have the ability to choose who their customers are, whether you're a restaurant or whether you're selling cars or, I think it's a fundamental right of capitalism for you to decide if you want to sell something to somebody or not, as long as you're not discriminating based on a protected class. And a winning sports bettor is not a protected class, as far as I know. So what they should suffer is reputational damage. They should be made fun of. The truth of the matter is sportsbooks, generally speaking, are horrible at betting on sports. What they're good at is marketing, what they're good at is brand, and what they're good at is customer acquisition. So if you take the top sports books, the Ladbrokes, the William Hills, the 365s, the FanDuels, the DraftKings, they are really, when it comes down to it, horrible at pricing. Horrible at pricing. They are really not very strong in trading markets, making markets, but they are very good brands, probably some of the best managed brands in the world, some of the best managed customer acquisition funnels in the world, and they excel at that side. So in order for them to make money, they have to have an incredibly high margin because they spent so much trying to nurture the brand and acquire the customer. And B, because they're not very good at market making or trading these books, they're susceptible to getting picked off all the time. And because of this, the way that they handle it is they ban punters or limit the stake of the punters. So it's kind of a pragmatic solution to a problem that they don't really have to come up against because the Smarkets of the world aren't providing enough competition so that they have to have better prices for the consumers. That's my long-term mission. That's what I'm trying to fix. But right now they can get away with it because the normal everyday sports bettor is used to that kind of treatment from the sports books and they can get away with it. So I think they should be shunned, but I think it should be legal. Thanks for the question. Question number 4 from Matt Fruth on LinkedIn, a 2-part question. Has, and if so, how, your leadership style changed as the industry has changed? And part B, how agile have you become with global strategy? I love this question just because I think of the way I see my child growing up, from baby to toddler to young kid to medium-aged kid. And I've stopped there, but you can kind of see these distinct phases of people learn to walk, crawl, run. And my leadership style has been much of the same, where a lot of what I knew when I founded the company, I had not managed anybody in my life before. And so I kind of had to YOLO it and wing it. And a lot of what I knew was based on what I saw in movies. It's based on what I heard from my friends. It's based on the movie Hoosiers. And, I'll take all the sports analogy movies. You kind of think of all the coaches, the Tom Hanks and the baseball movie with the girls in the 40s. I'm blanking on, that's going to kill me that I can't remember that movie. There's no crying in baseball. But all these people were kind of my role models for management because I just didn't know. And of course, you have this idea of like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, but what do I know about their actual day-to-day management? So a lot of it was winging it. And over the years, I've done so many things to get better. Probably the main thing that I've done is connected with peer groups and talk to a lot of other founders about how they do it. But in no particular order, all the things that I've done to work in my leadership style, I've done individual therapy. I've done group therapy via a group called YPO. I have a CEO coach and probably 2 other people that have acted as CEO coaches. So I've had 3 different CEO coaches. Some are more on the strategic side. Some are more on the leadership emotional side. I've done workshops with myself. I've done workshops with my management team. I've read probably 4 or 5 different management books. And through strong encouragement, of my wife to get in touch with my EQ emotional side, which has been a challenge for me. I've read lots of books on emotion and expressing emotion and being in control of your emotion. And so I think, I don't know if 180 is the right metaphor, but I've gone from a pretty crawly style of leadership to, I don't think I'm perfect now, but I think I'm much more in control of my emotions, much more strategic about the way I communicate to people. Early days in a startup, when you're 10 people around a table, you can yell, you can be pushy, but at the end of the day, you have a rapport with everybody around the table so that you can push, but be friends and go for a drink afterwards. As you scale your company, you spend less personal time with people. Your mistakes get amplified and the time to make up for the mistakes goes down. And so as the company's gotten bigger, I've had to adjust my leadership style and get stronger and better as a leader. I still have a long way to go to be a good leader, but I would say I have changed a lot and it's been a big learning experience. With global strategy, I think it's a lot of the same. It's like things change so fast and things are changing so fast today. You have to be agile and be flexible. I created an office in Los Angeles. We ended up shutting it down 3 or 4 years later. It didn't work for various reasons. And you just have to be willing to admit your mistakes and not hold on to them too long and move on. Question number 5, last question. Anonymous Twitter user. The core Smarkets exchange isn't available in the US, only SBK is. Easy to understand why. My question is, why don't you do what the other exchange did? No big profit. Spin up a sweepstakes version that you can launch in the US. Pooled liquidity across states makes it more viable. Seems to be working for those other two since they pivoted it into sweeps. What's the case both for and against this path for the US? On this pod and off the pod, I've talked to a lot of people about sweepstakes. I'm not very positive about the model. It feels wrong in a ethical sense. It feels like it's stretching the law a little bit too far. Maybe I'm wrong, or at least I'm wrong so far, because there have been some very big successful companies that have made lots of money and have lots of customers with the sweepstakes model. But it doesn't feel right for me. What feels right for me is the CFTC path that kind of fits more in the vision of what we're trying to do. Smarkets' goal, making money is nice, but we're not trying to make as much money as possible. If we wanted to do that, we'd have casino, we'd have worse odds. There's a lot of things that we could do to make more money in the short term. My mission is to change sports betting, change the business model of sports betting. And I think you can only do that in a sustainable long-term way if you follow the rules and follow the laws and go through the front door. And I think the sweepstakes is a little bit the back door. It remains to be seen how long this loophole, quote unquote loophole, is going to stay open. Who knows if it's a couple of years? Who knows if it's a couple of months? We've already seen some states take a negative view on that. That's the main reason we haven't done it. I wish, Novig and Profit have both been on the pod. I know those guys. I wish them the best. They're awesome entrepreneurs. And I think the product that they've put out there is great. It just hasn't fit so far with what Smark is trying to do. Great. Well, those are 5 questions. Thanks very much for participating in this. I love doing this kind of episode. It's a little bit more of a talking episode. I'm used to asking questions and not answering them, but it's been a pleasure. And the questions this time were great. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and where you get your podcasts. We'd love to bring this podcast to a wider audience, and you guys have been a big part of the success about that. Please write in with any suggestions for episodes or guests. And have a great day, everybody, and all the best.
The Business of Betting podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. 4 out of the top 5 U.S. operators personalize player experiences with Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/businessofbetting. And if you like what you see, you will get your first month free.